Baseball is, well, just bad. The Hodge Trophy returns back home to the state of Oklahoma where it belongs, and the Cowboys have a four-way race at quarterback that is going to be determined by something that is brand new in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This isn't the same old quarterback race.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Aldeo State. Today, we're partially brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Get squared away with Game Time tickets today. Meanwhile, we get to shift right into the conversation that is going to be the most popular in every single locker room across the country, unless you have a tried and true starter returning a quarterback. With Oklahoma State having Alan Bowman move on, the old school traditional mindset would factor in Garret Rangel being the veteran leader that Mike Gundy typically always rewards for spending years in Stillwater. With an entirely new staff, that is likely going to be different. But on top of that, the staff is operating in a completely new way. We've had conversations about the defensive side of the ball being an NFL model. Well, thankfully, it appears as though the offensive side of the ball is doing the same thing. And because of that, it is going to make this quarterback race much more interesting. I do not think that Garret Rangel is going to get the same benefits as the tried and true third-year, fourth-year veteran that Mike Gundy used to always lean on and covet the most because of the new staff. Obviously, both Kevin Johns and Doug Meacham highly recruited Hauss Hejny out of high school, and there is going to be some semblance of the TCU offense implemented into this system. So he is going to have a leg up to some degree. Plus, he runs a 10.640 or 100-meter, which is undeniable. That's cornerback, wide receiver level speed. You also have Zane Flores, who walked in at 6'3", 208 pounds, who fit the mold of a Division I Power 4 quarterback. Now he's had a few years to not only understand the system, get a lay of the land in Stillwater, get used to the classes, and all of the fine-tuning that comes with the multiple injuries that he's had. Thankfully, none of his injuries have been major, but they've all been a hindrance in him getting a fair shot at winning the quarterback battle. And then plus you have Maealiuaki Smith, who did come in at the latter half of the season. He looked more than adequate. He did win us a game. He kept us close in another game. And then the Colorado game wasn't really necessarily on him. I think a lot of people had checked out at that point in time, including a decent number of the coaches, which is why all of the coaches are gone. The Board of Regents did something that wasn't necessarily viewed in the greatest light, but it did get Mike Gundy to readjust the staff. And because of that, we now have this NFL model. And part of that NFL model is on the offensive side of the ball. This is, if you watch some of the clips coming out of practices, one of the things that was the most intriguing to me was when Garret Rangel mentioned that this is completely different. Under this offense, the quarterback is responsible for diagnosing the defensive coverages at the line of scrimmage, calling the audibles, making the shifts, adjusting the coverages, and doing all that live. And I think that is going to be the great equalizer in whom is ever going to win the quarterback battle. I know words are hard for me. But this isn't just your traditional, well, Hauss Hejny's the fastest. Hauss Hejny might have the best arm, so Hauss Hejny's naturally going to be the starter. Zane Flores, he's the big, shiny Mr. Nebraska, bad A, mamma jamma toy that we haven't got to see quite yet. And he fits the mold of your quintessential quarterback, right? 6'3", 215 pounds, has very good mobility and ability because we saw him play a little bit of running back last year around this same time. And then you have Maealiuaki. I would say Maealiuaki and Garret Rangel are more of your pocket presence guys, but Garret Rangel has gone from a 4.940 to a 4.640 during his time at Oklahoma State, and that could even be improved coming up on this season as well. As we saw from Garret Rangel against BYU, he's more comfortable in an RPO style of setting when he can get out of the pocket. But here's where this thing comes into play. It's not going to be who is the quote-unquote best quarterback that wins the battle, nor the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. It's going to be the one who can diagnose the defense, get the guys into audible situations, adjust the protections, get people in shifts and motions to make a determination on what play call should be implemented, and have the ability to go over all of that in a short span of time distribute the knowledge necessary, snap the ball, and not commit turnovers. This isn't, again, the Casey Dunn mindset, which is even something when you go back to before Casey Dunn. Mike Gundy has always talked about how he wanted to keep the offense the same for years and years and years and years and years and years. So that way, when you're implementing a new guy, you're not having to change the system. Unfortunately, that system got stale, and it was very easy for other teams to diagnose what we were doing, not to mention the fact that Casey Dunn had a very, very small playbook. So there was a very limited number of things that the quarterback could do. A lot of us got on to Spencer Sanders for making one read, two read, and then taking off. Well, the more you look at Casey Dunn's offense, I don't want to say it was by design that it was one read, two read, take off, but I will say that even Spencer Sanders could see that if the first two reads are not available, the likelihood of me having enough time to get to the number 3 and number 4 reads were not likely. Therefore, he had to find some ways to creatively extend the game. If we were going off of that same model, that would almost kind of favor a Zane Flores or a Hauss Hejny. But the cerebral side of the game is going to be crucial here. You have to be able to get up to the line of scrimmage. And, of course, there's going to be X number of plays that are scripted in. But even in those X number of plays, there's going to be multiple adjustments and shifts that you can call off of that. Not to mention the fact that you can call audibles. These are all things that never, ever, ever, ever happened under Casey Dunn. And we know that because of the turmoil that happened with Spencer Sanders. He was told that he's going to be much more instrumental into the play calling, and he's going to have the ability to call audibles and check out of things. That ability was taken away from him for whatever reason, and it caused a lot of ridiculousness inside the locker room. So we almost got a touch of a quarterback actually running everything at the line of scrimmage, but we didn't get it, and then Spencer Sanders left, and we went back to the same old system that Casey Dunn and Mike Gundy for years were very content with. This is a different animal. Under the former circumstances, maybe the seniority of Garret Rangel would have led him to be the top guy. Maybe the fact that Hauss Hejny does have some of that ability to extend the pocket and do some Spencer Sanders level things, perhaps he would have been the lead in. Or of course, Zane Flores. He athletically can do a number of things. It was all about him being able to implement it on the field without committing turnovers. And then Maealiuaki Smith had a very successful season last year, especially for a true freshman. But it's not just going to be about the physical attributes. It's not going to be about favoritism. It's going to be about who can diagnose everything at the line of scrimmage, get us out of this play, into the right play, get the right protections shifted over, get the receiver shifted to the right place to identify what kind of coverage the defense is going to be in, and then make it transferable to after the snap to the least amount of turnovers. That's the thing, is there's a lot that has to go into play here for the quarterbacks. It used to be very simplistic. It was the KISS method. Make this read, that read, this read, and then you can either distribute the ball or take off. It's not the case anymore. Now it's all on the quarterback to guide the team all the way down the field. Now, of course, there are going to have some conversations in the headset, and there are some play designs that are going to be sent in. But previously, if a play was sent in, that's the play that we were running. So if the defense did a shift and in the last 10 seconds, we were kind of screwed. We didn't have the ability to get out of that play, to call a different play, to do something, completely different than what was called in. Now we not only have that ability, but it's paramount to the success of this ball club. The NFL model has made itself on over to the offensive side of the ball, and this is what we're going to get. So everybody is very excited about Zane. There's a lot of people that saw a lot of nuance last season with Maealiuaki Smith. There's a lot of people that understand that Hauss Hejny athletically offers us something that is pretty rare, but Garret Rangel might have the cerebral ability to kind of sift through all of this a little bit better. Not because it was difficult during his time with Casey Dunn, but just because he has years now of diagnosing film and looking at defensive tendencies. And even at times when they weren't allowed to check out of things, I would imagine that Garret Rangel and Alan Bowman had moments where they were like, well, this play doesn't make sense, right? If they're creeping their linebackers in, it would be nice if I could make a massive adjustment here. But that wasn't really part of the game plan. Now it is part of the game plan. And that is what will equal who wins the quarterback job. Not just the physical attributes, not just the former systems or the former comfortability with the coaches in particular systems, This system is a little bit different. It is the tried and true method where the quarterback is in control. So your presence in the locker room is important. Your ability is important. But more importantly, it's your ability to sift through all of the craziness on the defense and have the understanding of what plays I need to check to and where the running back needs to be shifted to. Do I need to bring another wide receiver in to help? Do I need to chip with a tight end on a linebacker to implement a different kind of an out route to expose that corner? These are the things that the quarterbacks now have to make a determination in real time, very quickly as the team is moving down the field. So we all have our favorites, but I do think that the mental side of the game is going to be able to win out the job here. And I think that is going to favor somebody like a Garret Rangel or even a Zane Flores that has had a few years of reading the defenses in the Power Four conferences and understanding that this is the play calling system that Dunn used to run. But I even, as a quarterback, noticed that this didn't make sense. Well, now you have to implement that onto the field. So the years of film, the years of experience behind Garret Rangel and Zane Flores should be beneficial here. Maealiuaki Smith has a year under his belt now, as does Hauss Hejny. And Hauss Hejny can get himself out of trouble, much like Zane Flores, to a little bit of a different degree. So this is going to be a fun quarterback battle. But I see a lot of people making guesses without taking into consideration the quarterback this year needs to be much more well-rounded in the IQ department in order to win the job. It's not just about talent, arm talent, speed, size, skill. It's going to be about who can sift through the madness of the defense, make the right adjustments, and be productive without turnovers. That's going to be the key to the success in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I love the NFL model because what it does do is it gives you more recruiting capabilities. Instead of squeezing into the Casey Dunn box of plays, now you get to find yourself on the field and determine whether you're a leader or not. That can determine all of that information. Speaking of determining the winner, thankfully, it was done right this time. The NCAA did it right. Go figure that one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about making sure that your money is not doing funny things and your change isn't acting a little strange. If it is, and you've ever checked your bank account and said, where did my daggone money go? Well, Monarch Money is here for you. Between dining out, online shopping, daily entertainment, it is very easy to lose track of where your money's going, and this is where Monarch comes into play. This is going to be your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a typical budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So just stop simply managing your money and now start building wealth with your money. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing money with your partner, being with Monarch, is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the added stress. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for half off your first entire year. And while you're managing your money, it might be a good time to capitalize on where you're going to spend it. And that is going to be typically with tickets, right? We're all sports heads here. Imagine watching your favorite squad live and in living color. The energy of the crowd is different. Witnessing unforgettable moments live just it hits different. There's nothing like that experience. So getting tickets should not be stressful. This is where Game Time comes in, making it even easier for you to grab last-minute seats and unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks makes it easier for you to find a better value on tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever the case may be. All you have to do is check the Game Time app, and there's going to be some amazing deals on huge matchups coming up near you. The lowest price guarantee means that Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference with the most peace of mind you can get with the seat view that is panoramic. Download a Game Time today so you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. The Game Time app is going to be easy if you use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. That is Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. It is last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So now we get to talk about the rightful place for the Hodge Trophy is back home. Congratulations, Wyatt Hendrickson, on winning the Hodge Trophy. Of course, Dan Hodge was a Perry, Oklahoma native that did wrestle down the road at OU as a three-time national champion. He went on to have some Olympic-level competition moments. He was able to catapult that into a professional boxing career. He went 17-0 as an amateur, 8-2 as a professional, and then he even shifted again to the professional wrestling ranks, and he won 8 championships in the professional wrestling pre-WWE, WWF style days. And he was named the greatest wrestler to have this award, which is the greatest wrestler of the year, right? This is the 2025 Dan Hodge Trophy winner. And for some reason, other people, primarily Penn State fans, fail to understand that this is a one-year award. And Wyatt Hendrickson was the best wrestler this season. He had more pins than everybody else. He had more tech falls than everybody else. He pinned his way to a national champion, beating multiple former national champions to get there. This is why Wyatt Hendrickson did win the award. Like people are like Bo Nickel are out there hooting and hollering, and same with Michael Parsons about he's a 5-time national champion. Carter Starachi should have won. If the award was who's been the best wrestler in America for the last 4 or 5 years, absolutely. Carter Starachi, he wins. Congratulations. But that's not what this is. This is for an individual year, and Wyatt Hendrickson was clearly the best individual this season. Even when they put out that metric of the top 3 finalists, first of all, this is only the 8th time in the history of wrestling that a heavyweight's won the award, because typically heavyweights don't draw all the eyeballs. But Wyatt Hendrickson didn't wrestle like a heavyweight all year, which is precisely why he put up more than enough to win this award. It is nice to see the Dan Hodge Trophy coming back where it belongs in the state of Oklahoma. Wyatt is only the 3rd Hodge Trophy winner, which is actually pretty surprising in Oklahoma State history, joining Steve Mocco in 2005, Alex Derringer in 2016, and now, of course, Wyatt Hendrickson in 2025. He beat out Mitchell Messenbrink from Penn State and Carter Starachi from Penn State to win the award this year. And, of course, Penn State fans are hooting and hollering about how he should have not won it. It should have been Carter Starachi because of what Carter's done for the last 5 years. But people tend to forget that he beat almost double-digit All-Americans throughout just this season. The guys he beat had 18 All-American seasons combined. He scored bonus points 22 times, even though he faced 17 national qualifying level wrestlers in his 27 matches, going 27-0. He had the most pins, the most falls. He was absolutely disastrous when it came to tech falls as well. 13 pins is one of the most in the country. This is absolutely preposterous that anybody would say anything other than that. And now Wyatt Hendrickson, if you took his All-American years at Air Force and combined them, then he wouldn't win the award. But again, this is about this season. And this did cap off a phenomenal career for Wyatt Hendrickson. We even saw Air Force trying to get in on the action, congratulating him on the Hodge Trophy with him in Air Force uniforms. We appreciate the piggyback. You did what you could, but it took him coming to Oklahoma State to become a national champion. He does conclude this run with a 127-11 record, 49 wins in 51 dual matches, 60 wins over ranked opponents, 72 pins, 16 tech falls, and 16 major decisions. This is the Heisman of wrestling, right? The Hodge Trophy is the definition of a single season award based on record, dominance, bonus point win percentage, quality of competition, and sportsmanship. Just even getting up to this, Wyatt had defeated 17 of the top wrestlers in the country. Starachi and Messenbrink were 13 and 14. So are they good? Yes. Are they legends? Yes. Is Carter Starachi one of the best to ever do it? Absolutely. The first 5-time champion. That should be recognized. But the only reason that people are freaking out about this is because Penn State had 2 other dudes in the final 3. So statistically, if you have Mitchell Messenbrink and Carter Sirachi from Penn State, they thought they were going to win the award, especially when you take into consideration that Carter Sirachi is the first 5-time champion. But again, what he did in 2021, 2022, 23, 24, that should not be part of this metric. So thankfully, it was done right. And the Dan Hodge Trophy winner comes home back to Oklahoma, back where it belongs. And I'm so glad that we're celebrating this today in Galgaraiba on top of the celebration of Dean Hamady Jr.'s national championship that is kind of getting swept under the rug. But the story of wrestling this season has been Wyatt Hendrickson. At least now, coming up to it, it was about, will Carter Sirachi be the first 5-time champion ever? It was about, will Gable Stevenson continue his dominance over not only this sport, but other professional sports that he's entertained. The storylines were not for Wyatt Hendrickson or Dean Hamady Jr. or Oklahoma State. Everything was about Penn State. And you know what? They did win another national championship, as they have deserved. But now they've got a couple wrestlers that have come by the way of Oklahoma State. Now, they were backups at State College, but they were likely recruited by David Taylor and company and Coach Kennedy when they were at Penn State, and they also got to do some training with those individuals before they took the job at Oklahoma State. So perhaps much like Wyatt Hendrickson, much like Dean Hamady Jr., and even Troy Spratley, it took them coming to Oklahoma State to get to the national championships, let alone win them. So if you're a transfer, you can now see that if you go to Oklahoma State, David Taylor is going to teach you some things that you were not learning previously, even at Penn State, that is going to put you ahead. Because not to mention, Wyatt Hendrickson also beat Greg Kirkfleet, a defending national champion from Penn State. Now, this is about, they're mad that Wyatt beat their guy, and then they're mad, technically, now they're all mad that Wyatt Hendrickson beat Gable Stevenson. At the time, they were all about it. They loved it. They thought it was awesome. They thought it was great for the sport of wrestling. But now there's a bunch of boo-hoo, whining, and crying about how Carter Sirachi didn't get it, and he should have got it because what he's done for the last 5 years. Listen to what's coming out of your mouth or your fingers. What he's done for the last 5 years doesn't matter because this is the 2025 trophy. And the best wrestler of 2025 proved it at Nationals, and he brings the trophy home that deserves to be in the state of Oklahoma, where it was ever presented to be a thing. Talking about being presented to be a thing, something needs to be presented to Coach Holliday, but we also have to worry about getting supplies at the right time. SupplyHouse is where you need to go to get everything for your skilled tradesmen, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, electrical work. SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done correctly. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts to choose from, with over 400 brands in the nation, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast and from coast to coast. If you need help with ordering, SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for all the trade pros out here looking for the extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage of this. Now it is your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few simple clicks. Use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is SH5 for 5% off. Make sure that you go to supplyhouse.com to get squared away in all of your needs to get things fixed. It should be a fun time to talk about Cowboy baseball, but it is not. Okay, and we're not going to harp on this thing. I've discussed my Casey Dunn is the same as Rob Walton conversations. I've even kind of been waiting for this baseball team to take off because we're just way too talented for this to be the result. But, you know, losing to Winthrop, okay, maybe not so bad. Okay, they're a decent club. Losing a game to Illinois State, it doesn't look so great, but maybe not so bad. Then you lose 2 to Utah. That is more embarrassing than losing to Winthrop and Illinois State combined. Utah was so bad they weren't even receiving votes. There's a reason for that, because they're terrible and they did nothing in the transfer portal and they don't typically do anything in recruiting. Yet we have back-to-back top 10 classes with multiple first round, second round, third round projected dudes on this roster. We were picked to win the Big 12. We were picked to potentially win the Golden Spikes Award with Nolan Schubert. And all of that is falling apart. We're almost wasting Nolan Schubert's season, much like we wasted Ollie Gordon this previous year. What should have happened in football was Mike Gundy should have said, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, this didn't go right. I'm going to fire people mid-season, because I never do that. I'm going to show everybody this is massively important to me. But that didn't happen. It's okay. We got what we wanted at the end of the day, which is new staff. We didn't even think it was going to go as deep as it did. I think a lot of us just wanted a coordinator on both sides of the ball to potentially be gone, or a few position coaches and a coordinator to be gone. Nobody anticipated everybody would be gone. But here we are. We needed that shakeup. And as you're seeing in recruiting and some of the things you're kind of getting out of spring thus far, this is what was necessary for Oklahoma State. We needed this level of competition to get us back to where we're supposed to be. Well, baseball is supposed to be ahead of football every single year, no matter what, rinse, wash, and repeat. We have the nicest stadium in the country. We have some of the best facilities in the country, which is always going to help us in recruiting. People are going to want to be a part of what happens inside O'Brate, even if it's just from a developmental standpoint. But ironically enough, we've talked about, or Tom Holliday talked about, how you have to play the top-end freshmen nowadays, or you're just developmentally going to put them in a position where they go somewhere else and beat you off of what you taught them. I get it, but it's not working out. Like Ethan Lund, great prospect. Maybe he's not ready yet. Noah Weck, great prospect, clearly not ready yet. But we just keep going down and beating our heads against the wall. The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. We're not getting it. It's April Fool's Day, so maybe you got to wait till tomorrow, but something has to happen, even if it's a Board of Regents style of situation. I don't like the way the Board of Regents has handled things at all, right? Even the Gundy thing was kind of a bad look, even though I do think it was grounded in business foundations, which that makes sense, right? 3 and 9 is bad for business. Keeping the same coaches that have been the same problem for years is bad for business. Well, now we need to have the same approach to Cowboy baseball. What is happening is bad for business. What we're doing is wasting O'Brate Stadium. What we're doing is making Cecil O'Brate roll around in his grave, because this is an injustice. You cannot have the Nolan Schuberts of the world and perform this way. You just can't have it. Gabe Davis. Maybe we rushed him back too early from the broken collarbone, and maybe that's why he's been sidelined. Maybe that's why he's been less effective. Harrison Bodendorf, he's a good get. I think he's the best addition we've had thus far from the pitching perspective. But even then, he'll give up runs, and we'll put ourselves in a position where he can't come back, and we don't change pitchers, or we do change pitchers when they're cruising. And this isn't even considering the hitting is atrocious. As much as I would love to sit here and talk about how Rob Walton is the Casey Dunn, that is the biggest issue. Hitting is a disaster. We're the worst hitting team in the conference, and it's very evident now because we just got swept by mother trucking KU. KU is having a decent season. I get that. But never, now, not a never, should Oklahoma State baseball get swept by anybody in this conference. Point blank, period. So this is an embarrassing moment. People were up in arms about the quote-unquote haters being mad about some of the early losses, but it's because it was very evident that we're not all that great. We're not a well-rounded ball club. We're not a ball club at all. We've got some individuals that are major league level. We've got some coaches that have their heads so far up their ass they can't figure out how to conduct a proper game plan. It is maddening. And if Josh Holliday's not going to do anything, then we need to have a come-to-Jesus meeting with the Board of Regents, and hopefully it doesn't happen after the season. It needs to happen sooner rather than later. It's time for the BOR to do their thing again, and it be beneficial this time, much like we kind of got out of football. Anybody who, that's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, like it if you like this daggone thing. Dislike it if you didn't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you are the thing that makes all of this go. I appreciate you. I love you. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. All right, y'all. Later, my taters.